This is the mock speaking test for the International English Language Testing System conducted on January 26th. The candidate is Navid Asghadi and the examiner is Amin Muhammad Ehtesam. Good afternoon. My name is Amin Muhammad Ehtesam. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Good evening. Yeah, my full name is Navid Asghadi.
Now, in this first part, Navid, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about where you live. Do you live in a house or an apartment?
I live in a massive house. It's located in one of the best neighborhoods in Liverpool, where we've got. I think I'm not even sure about this, to be honest with you, but I think we've got 6 bedrooms in the house and 2 kitchens, so it's quite spacious. Yeah, and I'm really happy to live here.
And which room is your most favorite?
I would say the dining room because, well, I've got one flatmate who lives with me here, and the dining room is the room where we normally tend to get together and have meals and have a little chat about our days. And I'm a really sociable person, so that's my favorite part of the day.
All right, okay. Now, let's talk about street markets. Are there many street markets where you live?
Oh, there's loads of them in Liverpool. One of the most famous ones is held on the first Sunday of every month, which is one of the most popular street markets in Liverpool. I think that is mainly because you can find all sorts of things in this market, from very simple handmade bracelets to electronic devices such as mobile phones. And also the other thing is that in Liverpool, street markets they sort of provide people with a chance to get together and socialize. So it's not all about shopping, but it's more about the cultural experience that they share in the market.
And when was the last time you went to a street market?
It was actually last week because it was the first Sunday of the month, and the market was running. So my flatmate and I, that I mentioned earlier, decided to go there together. We grabbed some food, and I had to do a little bit of shopping. Needed some kitchen appliances, and I was quite confident I can find what I need at a really reasonable price, which was true, and I did.
Do you prefer to go shopping in a shopping mall or at a street market?
Well, I think it depends on what I need. So if I need clothes, I'd probably rather go to a shopping center because I think the variety is a little bit wider in a shopping center. And I also like shopping for designer brands, which I can't really find in street markets. But other than clothes, I normally prefer street markets over any other sort of store, because of the price, basically.
All right, now let's talk about time management. Do you like to be busy?
I do like the idea of having a lot to do, because that makes me feel like I'm sort of taking the most of my life, and I'm actually doing something, not just like I'm not a couch potato in a sense, if that makes any sense. But at the same time, when I do get too busy and snowed under with work, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. I find it quite overwhelming because I'm not really good at time management. So at times I find myself in a pickle when it comes to juggling around with a lot of different tasks simultaneously.
And when do you find it difficult to allocate time?
When do I find it difficult to allocate time, as in like to doing tasks?
To a certain task. So what certain task is it?
I think all tasks that sort of are expected by a deadline, I struggle with deadlines. I think it's more of a mental thing, rather than time wise, because as soon as there is as soon as deadlines are imposed, I get quite nervous. I'm really easily agitated with deadlines, and that will sort of cause me to lose focus and concentration, and as a result, basically keep procrastinating everything.
All right. Now, I'm going to give you a topic, and I would like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you can make notes if you wish. And you have 1 minute to prepare for this. Do you understand?
Yes.
I would like you to describe a person who always has interesting ideas or opinions. All right, now remember you have 1 minute for this, so or if I stop you, I will tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Yes, I would like to talk about a colleague of mine, actually, called Isaac. We both work for a language school here in Liverpool where we teach English to adults. I met Isaac about, I believe it was about 8 months ago when he was just taken on by the school, and he just recently started working at that language school. He's an experienced teacher, but he just moved to Liverpool because he's not from England. Um, my first impression of Isaac was that what a creative person he was. Because we were talking about the school curriculum, and I was trying to sort of filling him in on the sorts of things that we do in the school in terms of the syllabus, the expectations, the material, and class times. And the very first thing that he said after 2 minutes of me talking about the school was how he didn't like how certain things worked in the school system. At first, I was a little bit sort of shook by the idea of a novice sort of teacher at that school, being a novice teacher, trying to criticize how the school systems work. But as I was listening to his ideas, I found it quite interesting because
Thank you. All right. And do you enjoy being around people with interesting ideas?
I do actually, because I don't regard myself as a creative person, and I think these people can sort of help me develop my creativity a little bit further, which is quite an important virtue in my career.
All right. We've been talking about a person who always has interesting ideas or opinions, and now I'm going to ask you 1 or 2 more general questions related to this. Let's let's talk about children and their ideas. When do you think children start to have their own opinions?
I think that happens as soon as children gain some sort of understanding of how the world works. Um, I think this can particularly be seen in very young children who just start primary school, and they sort of start like delving into topics such as literacy, basically mathematics, in later stages of primary school, or physics. Yeah, I think it's sort of starts to spring, or they start like coming up with ideas, and their creativity sort of expresses itself. Also, I would say it really depends on the context that they're brought up in. We can see a lot of children, like a lot of very young musicians, like Justin Bieber, for example, who were born and raised in a musical family. And such children sort of maybe start a little bit earlier with the development of their creativity, rather than children who were brought up in families where creativity was not really prominent and evident.
Okay, and do you think children's opinions are influenced by their parents' ideas?
I think they are to some extent, because after all, parents are the first two people who children are exposed to. Basically, they spend quite a lot of time around their parents, talking to their parents, watching their parents, even at a very, very young age, even before they sort of develop the ability to speak. They are witnessing everything that is going on around them, and probably over 90% of what is going on around them is parents. So I think they should be heavily influenced by the parents' behavior. But also, as they age, there's some other factors that come into play, such as social media, education, their friends, the neighborhood they live in. So probably at a really, I would say, at a really young age, it's merely their parents, which then sort of develops into a wider range of influence.
All right. And now let's talk about inventors and philosophers. How do you think they come up with new ideas?
In the case of these two professions, I think a lot of their ideas are influenced by the amount of reading that they do before they are the philosopher and the inventor that they are. We can see this. We can very clearly see this in universities' curriculum in philosophy, for example, where philosophy students are obliged to allocate a great deal of time to reading different books by other philosophers. And their ideas are basically the outcome of a collection of other people's thinking and mindsets. Um, Regarding inventors, however, I would say their ideas are sort of they sort of root in the needs of the society and life of the time. So say, for example, looking at the internet, the development of AI has basically sort of emerged as a result of the need for easier communication, easier essay writing, and basically the need for an external device executing the task that we don't want to allocate any time to on a daily basis. However, I think there is quite a lot of external factors that can influence them.
Thank you very much. This is the end of the speaking test.